What is up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And tonight we are just going to talk straight TA, no news. This is charts only. And before we start, let me make it very clear that this is not financial advice. Anything I say or do in this video can and will be held against your bank account if you lose money. All right, so this is supposed to be the start of the bull run, right? Where's the bull run? Okay, we're going to the moon, correct? As everybody is saying, the bottom is in and the bulls are out of the gate. But at the very moment, what are we looking at here? What is this? That doesn't look like a bull run to me. Okay, so we do have this crossover here of the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA, which is obviously caused by this insane pump, which is a breakout of the candle. Not candle, what am I talking about? A breakout of the triangle. So we had this great big wedge formation that's been happening for, good God, the last several weeks. And then we finally came out of it and it broke to the upside. It was a 50-50 shot. I thought it was going to break down, but it did not. And so here we sit. So of course, everyone says that this means we're in a bull market. So we're going to look at BTC all the way up to the 1 week chart and then compare that to the DXY. And there is some compare and contrast going on where there are both bullish and bearish indications on here that we got to consider. Now, with the stochastic curled over here like that with a is slumping off and falling off, and the fast line, the blue line, is falling away from the slow line, the orange line, and they're pointed steeply down. That's very bearish. That does not say, hey, this is the beginning of the all-out bull run. Now, I would expect that this is going to continue to fall down, and we could drop all the way down as we just hit the bottom of the candle there. The wick just disappeared. We could drop back down to this 50 EMA, which I don't think has much strength to hold it because of the severity of this pump and how swiftly the 50 moved up over the 200. But we could bounce off of the 200. And if this is actually a reverse in trend, then we would bounce off of that 200. Or at worst case scenario, we bounce off of the red dash line. So now that we are on the positive end of the red dash line, things are not as scary looking. Now, we did have people stating that we were going to fall off and go down to, say, the 10,000 or lower range. But now that we have blown up above the red dash line, what does that mean? It means that it lowers the probability of a capitulation to 10,000, 8,000, 3,500. And so you have the two camps out there. You have the Gareth Soloways out there saying that we're going to run to 25,000 and then have the big dump. And then you have Crypto Crew, what's his face? You know who I'm talking about, who claims that the bottom is in because we have hit the golden zone. And both arguments have valid points. Now, I disagree with both of them because I don't think either of them can predict with any degree of accuracy where the bottom is going to be, because there's too many factors that both of them don't consider. And I think that the Bitcoin price movement is an untamed animal, and I have proof of that. What's the proof? It is that no one has become a billionaire and has not cornered this market yet. Because if they could make those predictions, and if they were so 100% sure that the bottom's in or that 10,000 is coming, they would be multi-billionaires by now. So until I see them corner the market, I'm going to say that it's all about possibilities and probabilities, and that they're a little overconfident in their predictions because they don't know. All right, let's just move right on. Let me tell you what can happen that would go contrary to what it looks like with the price falling off of a cliff right now, the stochastic being negative, and a bearish crossover of the histogram, of the oscillators downstairs on the MACD. You see how the blue line has peaked out and curled over and has crossed over the orange? That's bearish. Do you see how we have this little candle below the zero line, or this bar on the histogram? That's bearish. We went from straight green to light green, now to a red bar below the zero line. Now, that doesn't mean that without a shadow of a doubt, we're just going to continue a correction cycle till we get down here to oversold, because Bitcoin can lie to you and it can do a double hump. And what I mean by that is it's less likely now, because now the fast line is really steeply falling off of the slow line. But sometimes we can see this happen where we just start making a double hump or even a triple hump, or sometimes we can have 4 humps before we go down and complete another cycle. Sometimes we can double hump up here. Sometimes we can double hump where we get another grouping of bars on the histogram that is above the zero line, where we don't complete it and go downstairs and have a cycle underneath the zero line. But with all of the indicators that we have, price falling off of a cliff, slow line and fast line divergence, with the fast line falling away from the slow line at a quicker rate, steep angle, plus crossover, bearish crossover the oscillators, and printing of one little red bar on the histogram, we would have to conclude that the probability is higher for a little bit of a continued correction than, say, jumping off from the price point that we are right now and just going right back up. All right, so it looks like your highest probability, which doesn't mean it's definite. It just means that maybe 60% chance this happens, and we fall back down here and test the red dash line. Okay, 40% chance that we bounce off of the 50 EMA line, and then maybe less than 40% chance that we just reverse right here and pop off and continue to go up and start to get a double hump camel or triple or quadruple. That's what the 4-hour chart is telling us. Okay, now let's see what the 1-day chart is telling us. 1-day chart, scrunch it down, and what do we have? More indications that support what our assessment was on the 4-hour. What are those indications? Number one, the curling of the fast line, the blue line, looking like it's getting ready to cross over the slow line. That's number one. Number two, a sharp fall away from a peak. There it is right there. Number three, the histogram, which you can barely see down here, looking like it might be at a peak. Okay, let's circle this. This could be at a peak because now you see, if you look carefully, do you see how that blue line, oops, let's get an arrow. Do you see how the blue line is starting to curl over? So that's an indication that there could be a crossover happening right there. So all of these indicators tell us what? That we're going to come downstairs and either test the 50 EMA, drop down to the red dash line, or I don't even see where it is on here on this chart unless I scrunch it in. Where's the 200 line? Let's scrunch this down and see where the 200 is. Gracious sakes, I cannot. Is it my eyesight? Oh, it's upstairs. No wonder. Duh. It's up above. So we're already far below the 200. So that's not part of our evidence that we could see a falling back right here. So based on this chart, this supports the 4-hour. Both of them point to the same thing, that we either fall back to the 50 EMA or the red dash line. Now, let's look at the 1-week chart, and then we will look at the DXY and see what evidence is there. So on the 1-week chart, it still looks very bullish, all right? Now, keep in mind, it takes a lot more time for the 1-week chart to develop. But when we scrunch down and we look at this, what does it look like here but the 50 EMA trying to come down and find that 200 for a golden cross? So if this 200 can start to rise up, which it's not yet, and we have a lot of positive movement that has to be made before that 200 line is going to take a positive angle of inclination instead of declining. Right now, in the big picture, we have to realize that here's the high, lower high, lower high, and we have no evidence that we have broken the overall downtrend of the bear market until we come out of this and go boom, okay? Until we come back and find the purple line. then don't call it a comeback, as LL Cool J would say. Don't call it a comeback. So here's your purple dash line. And if we can make it to the purple, then we can find our way through the slip zone and slip up to 30,000. If you make it to the black line, I'm going to say that we're probably reversing trend and the bear market starts. Now, there is a bit of positiveness on the stochastic. We have a crossover here where the slow line is riding above the fast line, the blue line, is riding above the slow line. Same thing on the MACD oscillators. The fast line is slightly above the slow line. So this is at the moment pointing upwards. We have an angle that points upwards. But don't think that it can't reverse, because it did it here, it did it here, and it did it here. That's 3 times where we got faked out. So we got to make it to the purple, and then we got to continue up without a head fake. And then we got to make it to the black dash line. Then we can call it the start of the next season. And keep in mind that there could be a time of boring action where we do nothing but this for months. Side banding, where we fool around within these volume nodes that happen here. Oops, I want a rectangle. That happens in this cluster and this cluster on the VPVR. So when we get out of this one, then we can say, yeah, bull market is going to start. Now let's clear that out and let's look at the DXY, and then we're done. DXY, 1 day. Notice I have a black line, a black dash line on the DXY. And this is very important, because if we fail this line, I'm thinking bull market starts. And for a minute, it was looking not so hot. But what do you notice on this chart? You notice that we are forming a green candle. That means DXY has bounced up. We touched the line, we bounced up, and now look, we're about to come back above the 50 EMA. That's not so bearish. So while everyone is calling for the all-out bull run, DXY has quietly made a reversal, and what do you see right there? Fast line, the blue one, about to cross the slow line, the orange one. Now, notice something else, that we made it to the bottom of the histogram, and now we see that the red bars went from solid red to light red. That means momentum is carrying us back to the 0 line. We also see that the blue oscillator line is starting to curl over a little bit. So if we got to the bottom, let's just erase this real quick. If we made it to the bottom of this thing right here, and then we go upstairs and see the corresponding price. And at that bottom where we had the red line and this crossover, that corresponded to touching this black line, but now we're green and jumping up ahead. We're still in an upslope on the DXY. We haven't broken trend. And that's why I don't trust this as the breakout yet. Once this stochastic here starts to make its way back up like that, we could do yet another one of these numbers where we jump up again and have a new high and then come back down, okay? But let's just look at history. How many times did we touch this line only to bounce off and continue on? Let's just circle it. Since 2022, let's see what we got. We're on the black line here. This is the beginning point where I started my dash line. And that's when this uptrend started, and we had our first significant stochastic peak. And that starts this thing here where we bounce up, come back down, touch, support, bounced up, come back down, touch, support, bounce up, come back down. Didn't even make it down to the 50 or the back line. And we bounce up again. Then we come back down to the 50, touch, support. We blew the 50 right here, and everybody thought that's the end of the rampage of the DXY. You remember everybody was saying that. They were saying that that was it. And at that point, DXY was supposed to go ahead and come back down to earth. And what did it do? It jumped back up, went bananas, came back down, didn't even make it to the black dash line. Support, jumped up, came back down, didn't even make it to the 50 EMA before it jumped up. Support, and we touched it again, and it's bouncing up. Guys, I don't see anything here that's telling me that we don't see this type of action to continue right here, okay? And then please explain to me what makes you think that with the printing of the dollar and the raising of the interest rates and the dire economic situation at hand, that this is not going to continue. Even if the feds get dovish and do a 50 point, does that mean that it's going to cause the dollar to fail when everybody around the world is hedging by hiding their investments into our U.S. bonds? That's just something for us to wait and watch and see what happens. And until then, I'm going to say you better be careful, and I'm not convinced that this is the time. Now, let's just end this up back over here on the BTC, and we'll call it a day looking at this week chart. All right? So overall, while we're sitting here, standing at the point of this cliff, do we fall down or do we move up? I'm going to do the next video where I'm going to show you something interesting that I found with the Fibonacci. It's going to kind of surprise you, because when you do this, and I'll just give you a sneak preview. Let's try something real quick, starting from the high point of the previous run to the low point, about right there. And let's just see what happens here. This is kind of interesting. All right, now let's zoom in and see what kind of, oops, let me get that back on there at the low point back here. Yeah, that's close enough. This is not exact, but let's check this out. Notice something. You got the golden 618 right there. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, or somewhere around there. So the golden 618 is sitting here way beneath this volume node that we're sitting at right now, which is in between because we're riding above the 786. So we got the golden 618 right there at 14. We got the half, the 0.5, sitting at 19 or 11,956. What does that mean? It means I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't the end of the story, that we have a bottom coming. Or do we come up above and this big volume node becomes the support? It's a 50-50 shot. And the only way we're ever going to know is to wait until we watch it happen. That's about all I got for this video. I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Pro channel. I can't talk today. And if you would like to donate to the cause, I would gladly accept your super thanks to help me defray the cost of producing the channel so I can keep bringing you the cutting edge information, the unbiased, straight dope about what's happening with the Bitcoin action, where I'm not going to be like the other big mouths where I got to be right. Where I got to say, see, I told y'all, I made the prediction and I'm the one that knew what was going to happen to Bitcoin. Nope. I call it like I see it. So thank you very much for watching. Post your comments below. Let me know what you think is the bottom end or not. And by goodness, I guess whatever else I had to say, I can't remember. So that's all I got for now. This is Carlton, and I am out.